Don Pitnello?
Yes.
Why are you out here at Macs today?
Standing up for Second Amendment rights, as well as our First Amendment rights.
Okay.
Part of that First Amendment rights falls in with the way she's been treating her employees. If there's a problem, she berates, belittles, harasses them.
Right.
I guess it's one of her methods of operation to frustrate people to the point, instead of firing them, is to get them to quit by the way she mistreats them. Then serves them with no trespass orders, and then stalks them to their next employer, trying to get them fired from there.
Pretty vindictive.
It's a good way to put it. It's treatment with the employees here, the lack of concern for their safety and security, being as they had been robbed as many times as they had. She knew that it was a problem. She had, the store I worked at had been robbed and broken into 8 or 9 times. And working in Center Rutland and North Main Street, it just seemed like every time I had a night off, there was a robbery.
Right.
Or a break-in, or in between shifts, when we closed to when we opened. She knew this, but she does nothing to provide security or safety for the employees. And it was just asked of her, why don't you just put a second person on?
Yeah.
It comes down to her bottom line, not wanting to spend the money.
Of course. And instead she decided to put in, 2 more cameras out front because they're going to stop crime.
Well, cameras are fine for the incident after the fact. It's used as a tool by the police for investigative work after.
Sure, after a crime's been committed.
But when I asked her what she was going to do to prevent the crimes, she just insisted the cameras were enough. So.
Okay. And now, what brought this boycott on in the first place?
I was working North Main Street store on Father's Day, getting ready to close about 9:30. Someone came in with a hoodie pulled up and a bandana up to their eyes, waving a knife, telling me to empty the register. I was going to empty it at the time, but I do conceal carry, especially in the situation where that store had been robbed so many times.
Sure.
So, yeah, it might have been policy, but she wasn't doing anything to protect anybody. I'm not cannon fodder.
No.
I'm not going to stand there. So I took it out of my pocket and held it down behind me, approached the register, and I was going to give him, it was an armed robbery, I was going to give him the register, cash in the register. When he started making gestures with a knife in his hand, it's when I felt
your life was.
It's a matter of going from an armed robbery to an armed assault, and it's my life I'm protecting.
Yeah.
It's a benefit that the store didn't get robbed, but my first concern was me. And it's kind of like when bad things happen, it doesn't take much. In a gunfight or a knife and gunfight, the first one to move sets the pace.
Yeah.
He moved and I responded.
And now, as far as I know, the last robbery in Rutland, or should I say attempted robbery, was the night of that
Father's
incident,
Day,
and it's been pretty quiet since then. Do you think that might have sent a statement?
I'm hoping it did. I know most all of it's been drug related, and I'm hoping with the statement I made before, and I'll stand by it. I broke policy. There may be others out there just as concerned and will break policy. You can always find another job.
Absolutely. You can't find another life.
You can't get another life. You only have one.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you for your time, Don.
All right. Well, thank you.
My name's Eddie Garcia.
Eddie Garcia, and why are you here protesting at Mac's convenience store today?
Well, what I and we as the Vermont Citizens Defense League see here is a fundamental injustice. There's an old saying, no good deed goes unpunished. What happened here is this gentleman acted properly to protect himself, to protect his employer's property, and to stop a crime in progress. And for this, he was penalized, he was suspended, reprimanded, and ultimately had to find another job. Well, I suppose that Max has the right to set whatever policies they want. but we have the right to object to them and say, okay, this is how you're going to treat people. We're not going to do business with you. There's a larger psychology that's starting to take hold in Vermont, in New England in particular, and in Vermont, that guns are bad, and anybody who has a gun, who is a good person, is a bigger problem than the criminals of the sort that robbed this store.
Right.
And I also see this as an opportunity to perhaps turn that psychology around just a little bit. If you look at your statistics, you'll see that Vermont has the third lowest rate of bad things involving guns in the United States, and yet we have activists here that are supported and probably funded by Michael Bloomberg, who are telling us that no, Vermont does have a gun problem, and then they gin up specious little things, anecdotal evidence, they distort data, and are attempting to create a psychological environment that essentially is an affront to your rights and mine.
Right.
And if we can turn the tide in some small bit, stand up for this veteran of the Vietnam War who did the proper and correct thing, defended himself, defended his employer's property, and stopped a crime from happening, if we can step up and say, no, it's not okay to criticize him for that. No, it's not okay to suspend him, to take his employment, and to make him look and feel as if he did something wrong, then I'll take that opportunity.
And you're from the Vermont Citizens Defense League?
That's correct.
And your name is Eddie Garcia.
That's me.
It's nice to have you today.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
I'm Ed Cutler. I'm the president of the Gun Owners of Vermont.
Okay, and what are you here protesting Mac's convenience store for today?
Basically, we're protesting because there was a man here that tried getting robbed, and he defended himself and got fired for it. We don't think that's a good idea. We think people have an absolute right to self-defense. Yes. Should have never been fired, and from what I'm hearing from other people here, this isn't the only thing that's been happening with the owner of this place.
Okay, now there's been reports of other employees that have been harassed and even served with trespass notices for simply quitting or for supporting this boycott.
Yep, it is, and I think it's kind of bad. She owns a property, she has a right to do it, but at the same time,
You also have a First Amendment right to be standing out here and protesting.
yeah, for sure. And I think it's kind of bad that she gets this vicious, and when I hear she was even this vicious well before this all started.
Sure.
I heard she's been treating her employees really bad.
Yeah, this has been going on for quite a long time from what I've heard.
Yeah, I mean, I work for a living, and my employers treat me pretty good. They treat me with respect, and that's basically what you should be doing here.
Right now, I'm sure you've probably quit a few jobs in your day. Have you ever been served a no trespass notice for quitting a job?
No, actually, I've quit some pretty bad places, but never this bad.
Yeah.
I literally could go back to any place I've ever worked just to visit,
Yeah.
and there's never been a problem.
Right. And yeah, as far as I know, there was no threats or anything on Don's part, so there was really no reason to have served him with a trespass notice, or the other employee that put in his 2 weeks notice the day later.
What are you fighting for?
Well, one of the employees over here got fired for defending himself against the robber.
What's your name?
Bob DePino.
And what are you doing protesting Macs today?
Well, after hearing about the simple fact that you're not allowed to defend yourself in my business, that's just very disturbing on many levels. The fact is, signs do not protect people.
No.
Policies do not protect people. Laws actually don't protect people because the person's going to do what they're going to do, and unfortunately, public place, robberies, a lot of those going on in Vermont right now. knives, some guns. It seems like there's no end in sight because the sign on the door doesn't do it.
Right. No guns
The criminals,
policy.
the criminals are not afraid of the police, obviously.
Obviously.
The only thing they're afraid of is a law-abiding citizen who just might be carrying a firearm.
Yeah, from what I've heard, there hasn't been a single robbery in Rutland since this incident happened. And just prior to it, there was actually a for a couple of weeks that had gone on armed robberies.
There's been a lot of them. I've
Yeah.
been doing research on them, and they seem to have a couple common threads. Drug use.
Mm-hmm.
Like police are saying they're looking for certain people, certain attributes. They're acting a certain way. Okay, well, it kind of goes into the Burlington, Rutland drug epidemic, if you will.
Right.
But yeah, it's. I would much rather patronize a store that allows their customers and their employees to carry.
Sure.
Whether it's open or concealed doesn't bother me.
Yeah, and it doesn't bother me either.
I've never seen a criminal yet open carry on the street to the place that he's going to rob.
Sure.
So, until that day changes, and I don't think it will. Most criminals don't advertise. They wait for the most opportune moment. Nobody's around.
Yeah,
nobody's
late at
looking.
night.
Late
No
at
gun
night.
sign on the door.
There you go. Oh, that's welcome.
Yeah, please rob us.
Please. Yes. We're not going to stop you.
Yeah.
So, the old days was no witnesses.
Sure.
At least that's changed a little bit. So, you see a lot of armed robberies, but nobody's actually getting shot at this point.
Yeah.
So, that's
and
good.
what I've seen for protection, or what they call protection, is surveillance cameras.
Oh yeah, those are good.
Which they don't seem to actually stop or deter crime,
No.
and actually only
Good,
act as
wonderful
an
pictures of the
after
criminals.
fact.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wonderful
and
pictures.
from what I've seen in robberies we had, is all the video surveillance did nothing to apprehend the criminals.
No, I haven't seen anything yet.
Yeah.
Was that Peace Shirt Bandit still on the loose? I don't know if they ever caught her.
I don't know as if they have. I haven't heard anything
I
about
haven't
it.
seen anything.
I'd figure that'd probably be right out there on the news.
Yeah, and I've noticed a couple of them too. They're not even using cars anymore. They're just walking up and walking out. And,
Yeah.
obviously, they're not even afraid to get out of town.
Okay, well, Bob, thank you for your time
All right,
today.
No problem. Good talking to you.